Hi everybody, I hope you can hear me. I didn't bring my microphone. Once again, I forgot. But it is a little bit better today, the day I think for driving. And I just want to let you know that I'm on my way to take a class with it's a county extension office, I think it is, but it's not in my county. It's like 2 or 3 counties over from me. I'm driving like almost 40 minutes just to go to this thing. It's supposed to be like a container pollination class that they're giving, and I found a really cool website, and it's called Everbright, and I don't know if they have it in for your state, but it's all the events and things that are happening around town, and you can follow like extension offices, and a lot of times they'll give like free agriculture classes, and I have a couple in my lineup for the month, especially one next month for beekeeping, which is something I'm really interested in doing. Well, at least to learn about before I get involved. I like to research things way in advance before I do them. I gotta pass this guy. Wow. Oh my gosh. What the heck? That guy's going like 20 miles an hour. I don't have a flasher on or anything. Oh my gosh. Okay, so anyway, I wanted to do a little talking today because I have 40 minutes of driving, and we're expecting a tropical storm, and I didn't even know about it. I did not even know about it. I've been so busy. So that's coming today. So I'm driving 40 minutes south, and the storm is going to be like borderline up there, but we might get some rain and stuff over here. So I'll be home. I'm coming straight home after this thing. It's probably an hour and a half or 2 hours, so I'm coming straight home because the weather's going to get super, super bad for the next 2 or 3 days because of this tropical storm that we're going to get like outer bands and stuff like that. But anyway, I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about when you don't feel like you fit into the world, okay? So now that I'm older and I'm reflecting on things, and I've had a lot of time to be alone, I don't have distractions in my life. I'm not distracted by women, campers. I'm not distracted by boyfriends or friends or anybody like that. I'm really in my private place, really reflecting on my life with my son and different things. And this is a time of my life that I lean into these kind of moments of reflection where I really don't want distractions from people, because I realize that God is putting me in this position right now, and it's not forever. It's not going to be forever, but right now He needs me to reflect on many, many things, and He needs me to concentrate on preparing myself for what's coming ahead, understand it, and really learn to listen to His voice and what He's telling me to do and directing and guiding me, and how I can make the right choices by reflecting on His love and serving the kingdom. So if my choices are not about the love of God and serving the kingdom, then I have to really reflect on those choices that I'm making, because they might not be from Him. They might be from evil or something trying to get me off of my track. So, and we talked about that in Saturday's Bible study, where we read the scripture about that, where it was, everything that you do should come from a love of God and love for others. And that's the first priority. That's how you make the right decisions in your life, when you sit down and really evaluate. And I do that now when I make decisions. Sometimes I mind map them. I think of the pros and the cons, and I think, how can I best serve God? How is this will for my life? So let's talk a little bit about this will for your life, because for a long time, and now I'm reflecting, I realize that I have felt in my life like I am not in the right place, like nothing in my life. And I guess God protected me through those things and brought me back to the form of life I should have had. And I'm happy here. I'm truly happy. Just being at home makes me happy. Like, I don't really care about going anywhere. I mean, I just love being at home, where that wasn't the case. I used to love shopping and a whole bunch of stuff. So what am I talking about? Well, one of the things I realize in life is, when you're born with a DNA and genetics, that's really important, because God is planting like seeds in your soul. So if, like, let's say my grandfather and his grandfather and the grandfathers before him, they were farmers, and they loved the cattle, and they loved the horses, and they had butcher stores, and they have clothing stores as well, because my grandfather was from Spain, and my father loved horses, and we had horses. But the problem is, something happened in the world where all of that stuff was stolen from us. Our heritage was stolen. Like, if I was in Cuba right now, I would be running, you know, the cattle business, and I would be running the store that we had there as well, the butcher store, and, you know, I guess I'd be doing a lot of those things, and my life would be totally different. I had a farm, I have the ocean, the water, I live in a tropical subclimate, you know, I love swimming, I love the ocean. And then we end up living in New York because my father needed work, and that's where he brought us as refugees, right? So I never felt connected to anything there. So eventually we moved to Florida because we realized, you know, this is where he wanted to retire to. As I'm living my life, I realized that all the places that I've been into have never satisfied me internally, because I have the DNA, the genetics from my family, which is to love the land, to love the cattle, to love the plants, to love the outdoors. And until I got to this property where I live now, and I'm doing the actual work of the land, I realize how my soul is so fulfilled inside. Growing plants, and not just plants like decorative plants, but I'm talking about having a purpose for my life. Fruits and vegetables, like my grandfathers used to do. They used to grow their own stuff. So what I'm trying to say is, I've been reflecting on that and saying, you know, a lot of us parents, we don't realize that we put our kids, we raise our kids in places that are really not meant for us, because, you know, we go for work, we go for the money, but then we end up staying there and compromising our lives. And it's okay to move for a certain amount of time because you need the money, right? I mean, that's okay, but you got to look at your life too and say, how much longer am I going to keep compromising my life in this place? You know, how much longer am I going to keep living in a city with smog and buses and chaos, and living a rush life and trains and high crime rate, you know, and high prices of rent and all of this, just for the sake of money? Because remember, if you go to a place where you get paid less, usually you're going to have to pay less for housing, pay less for food, maybe pay less for commute. So you have to think about those things as well. Yeah, you can live in New York City and make, you know, what, a lot of money there, but how much you're going to pay in rent, in your car getting towed because you didn't change it from one street to the other for the cleaning that day, you know, or get tickets for things like that. So try to understand that we have to reflect more in our lives, and not just let the money, the desire to live a better life according to the standards of the world. Now that I'm living here, I live on very minimal amount, and I've done a video on that, talking about how much I pay, and I'll link that down below. But I want you to understand that the desire for a better life doesn't come from things. They come from your security that you can make it even through the bad times. That means having no debt. That means buying a house that you can comfortably pay for with one salary and not two. And or if you do have the two salaries when you buy your house, then perhaps you can take that second salary and dedicate it to paying off that house sooner than later. So that means living under your means. That means not going out to eat all the time, not taking vacation. That's what I've done in my life, because I realize that, you know, anytime that you're in debt, you're a slave. And what that means, being a slave, is you have to take whatever is offered to you because you need to make those payments. And now you are being tempted to not reflect on the purpose and the will for your life. So now you're going to go off track, and you're going to feel always like you're off track, but you're not going to know that, because you're going to think, well, I need a boyfriend, or I need this, or I need that, or I need this. And that is not what you need. The reason that you're needing other things in your life is because you're off track. You're not in the place that you need to be. Because if you were in the place that you need to be, where you're totally fulfilled and happy inside, you don't need really anything. You are going to be happy there. So realize, parents out there, that, you know, if you feel uncomfortable about something, you really need to sit down and break it down to the nitty gritty, all the way down to as far as you can, about how you can make things work in your life. If that means going back, you know, single moms, if that means going back to live with your parents for a little while so you can store some money and then fulfill your dreams or your life or whatever it is, then that might be what it is. I don't know what it is for you, but I know that there are times in our life that we have to make these compromises for money. Yes, we have to, because you know, we don't want to be a part of this, take advantage of the system either if we don't have to. But try to always reflect on your life. So if you're a person that grew up and your family history has been like the country, you know, farmland, farming, what's wrong about farming? Most people don't want that as a career, but I beg to differ that we are seeing right now in our country a desire to really learn, and people really understanding that that's part of their salary. Every time you go to a store, you spend $600 a month, let's say, for your family on food. That's $600 of your salary that you're going out to work and work and work and work to make. Why if you're home and you're growing this stuff at home, that's $600 more in your pocket every month. I mean, a bag of lettuce costs like $4 or $5. You can grow lettuce in a pot, and that's the $4 or $5 a week that you're not spending, you know. So now you don't need as much money, or you can put that money aside for your goals, because now you're living compromised at this moment. Wow, I'm driving by here. This marathon is $4.85 for gas. That is crazy. Oh my gosh, it's almost $5. Wow. It makes me think twice about traveling anywhere at this point, because everything is so expensive, and a lot of the money that I'm budgeting every month is going to like buying, you know, food, a little bit here, a little bit excess, a little bit extra. So like, let's say I ran out, like this week I ran out of corn grits, and I usually have 2 bags, so now I'm on my bag. Now I have to buy, instead of buying 1 bag, which I usually always have like another one, now I have to buy 2. So things like that is what I'm doing, is I'm trying to get now extra of what I have. But anyway, so this is the thing. So I'll just put a little bit of gas later and go, because I'm not really traveling a lot right now at home. I'm really staying home a lot. So anyway, this is why I believe that a lot of us get out of the will of God, because we are not in the place that we are supposed to be. Okay? And we're not reflecting on that, because we're putting other things ahead of our desires, that God put the desires. As long as they're God desires, then you are on track. So that means that if God gives you the desires to leave the city, and it's going to cost you money to leave the city, you need to make a plan for that. See, that's what happened to me years ago. I had the beautiful house on the water. It was all remodeled. It was beautiful, but it was too big for me. And I was, after I got divorced, and I bought him out of the house, and I kept the house because we didn't have a mortgage. So I bought him out, and I had a small mortgage on the property, because this was when the properties went all the way down during the debacle, whatever. So I was able to buy him out of the house, and I lived there, and I was happy there. But there was always something like, this wasn't the place for me. There's something missing here. And I was realizing it wasn't, I was there because because the house was beautiful and everything, but the dream was gone. It was a dream for both of us, you understand? I didn't have a boat at this time. He took the boat, and I wasn't going to buy a boat. And I was living on the water, paying higher taxes, and I realized, okay, then I started looking for a house, and nothing came. I mean, I don't even understand how many houses I saw during that time. That was during the foreclosures. There were lots of houses on the market, tons of houses on the market. And every time I tried a house, you know, or somebody else would pick it up, or the neighborhood wasn't that great, or, you know, and it just wasn't for me. I spent months traveling all over South Florida, and actually to try to be closer to my family. Nothing worked for me. And then I realized this wasn't God's plan. God's plan was for me to move north, because He wants me to be in the country. I knew that I wanted to be in the country, because every time I passed by country land, my heart just sang. When I saw the prairie, when I saw the cows, it just driving by those places makes my heart sing, just like the ocean does. But the ocean is too expensive, and I know the cost of living by the ocean. I know the cost and the dangers in Florida of living by the ocean, because we are a hurricane state. So, and how high the insurances are for those properties. So I knew that was not an option for me. But I wanted to be in a place where I could still drive to the ocean and be in the ocean. That's why I have my truck camper, because whenever I want to spend time in the ocean, I take my truck camper and I can go. So that's the compromise that I made for that. But I realized that the safest thing for me was to live in the country. So I went to Ocala, and that's the only place that I really knew was like country, like they really had acreages. And I looked at some properties, and then I thought, okay, yeah, I could do this. You know, it's not too bad that I can't visit my parents, you know, drive down and spend a couple of days with them or whatever. So that's what I did. And I was hopeful too that once I lived in the country, my parents would eventually decide that they were going to leave South Florida and come and stay with me, or come up north and finally live in the country, because my dad loved the country. I just want you to understand that it's important for us to teach our kids what's in our heart from our generations, with the, you know, how we grew up, things like that, and then we can pass that on. But try to be also sometime in your life with those kids in those kind of places, because that's probably where they need to be. It's like, now that I'm learning about gardening, I'm realizing, okay, it's not just you just don't go by and buy kale. There's so many species of kale, there's so many species of spinach, there's so many species of tomatoes. Okay, and here I thought, well, I'll just get a tomato plant. No, it's not going to work in Florida. No wonder my tomatoes died in Florida, because when August comes in, the heat, humidity, and the floods, because we get lots of rain by July, we get lots of rain, the plants just, they die. And this year, I learned that there's certain species, and I've been doing a lot of research and writing this down for next year, you understand? So I can, for number one, I have to plant on time, of course, so that I learned this year. But number two is to have the correct varieties of the certain plants so that they can thrive in the climate and the soil type that I have. And that's what I want you to understand, that we are just like that. Okay? We need to be in the right place to thrive, for our children to thrive, so they can be authentic to who they really are. The world is going to pull your kids away. These phones and the media, the telephone, they're all going to try to get your kids away from the quiet life, from the peaceful life, and from the calm life. But at some point in your life, you have to give it to them. You have to show it to them, because they have to be able to compare. At some point, even when they leave and when they go, they're going to see the chaos in the world, and they're going to remember when they've had enough of the chaos, they're going to remember that day that you showed them peace, that you showed them tranquility. And they're going to go back to that. They're going to reflect on that, and they're going to eventually go back to that. And this is why teaching the Bible to kids is also important. And God tells us to do that, because eventually that's a seed you're planting, and they'll come back to that. If we're not in the right place or where we need to be, we're always going to be in stress, because stress means that we're agitated, and agitation doesn't come from God. If you have a life of anxiety, if you're always stressed out, if you feel anxiety and you're always rushing, God doesn't rush anybody. God is peace and love and calm. If you are experiencing those things, you need to reflect on your life and what you are doing. And if that means making less money and stop chasing the money and changing your life, then you're going to have to do that, because that other stuff is a wake-up call to let you know that your health is going to become a problem for you if you don't start changing. That's what pain is. Pain, when we get cut or we get hurt, we get pain because God made a system so that we know we got to stop whatever we're doing because now we're hurting. If we get cut, the blood is red because it's the brightest color of all the colors, and that's a warning to let us know something is wrong, right? So the same thing with stress, anxiety, depression, all of these things, those are emotions, because those are things that are not in the physical. They don't happen to the skin. They don't happen to, on the outside. They happen internally. And when you have those things happening in your life, you are not in alignment with God's purpose and plan for your life. Because, I'm not saying you can't have stress and anxiety every once in a while, because things happen. People cause us stress and anxiety, right? But if you're always there and you have more days there than you do good days, you really have to reflect on your life and what is happening. And you have to let go of those things that are causing you those problems. Just like Abraham had to comply with God and he had to put his son on the altar. You have to put those things on the altar and say, I gotta let this go, because this is going to destroy me. I gotta stop chasing the money. I gotta stop putting other gods ahead of my God, who is the one and only God, who is going to see me through this, because he's a loving God. And this is why this is why you are experiencing in a system where you're off and you're off your alignment. You have a Holy Spirit inside of you that's peace and calm, but when you're off of it, God made your body so that you can also understand that you are going the wrong way, seriously going the wrong way. So I hope this video helps a lot of you, because I think this is a time in our life that this shift, all of this stuff that's happening in the world, is really a wake-up call to the way that we're living, so like we're living in a rat race where we just go through the motions. It's like a hamster wheel. We're just going through the motions. I think this is a time where God is saying, I want to create a new world, not a new world order, a new world, because this is all going to be defeated in the end. And I need people to reflect on what they're doing and what is happening in this world right now. And I want you to change your life, because when you change your life, you're changing the life of the generations that are coming after you. You understand? So, and that's going to be important for the future, for whatever plans God has, and the people that aren't born yet, or the people that he's going to lift up to do his work. And you have to be doing your part in order for those other people that he's chosen to do their part. You understand? It's all like a symbiosis, I think they call it. It's all like a circle. It all comes around, just like the land. Everything in the world of permaculture is all used up. It's all used. So, like things go back into the earth and it's regenerated. It's just another plant and all of this stuff. So it's the same thing with our life. We put out kids in the world, but are we doing the right thing of not just giving them an education, but also putting them in the place where they have to be? Because it feels right to us. It might not look right to your mother, to their grandparents, to their sister, but to God, that's where he wants you and them to be. So maybe it's not living near Harvard, because maybe they have to go to a city college, because you have to be in this one location. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. So don't always look at, if you're looking at prestige and money and title and recognition and all of this stuff, because you want your kids to graduate from Yale or Princeton, but yet God wants you to be in this country setting where your kids are going to go to the city college there, or the county college, then maybe that's what God is telling you to do. You got to listen and you got to do it, because there's an important plan for him in the kids off of the track of that, they sometimes are probably going to feel empty inside because they're not fulfilling. Now they have to go full circle to find their way in life because you didn't do your part of it. And they're going to go through a lot of things until they finally come back to their world. Like, all right, well, sorry, that was my mom calling, but thank you so much for watching. I think I over talked in this video, but I think you got the point of what I'm trying to say. And I could just go on and on and on, but I'm almost there. I got maybe 15 more minutes, so I'm just gonna have some quiet time and reflection in my car. But thank you for watching. I hope you have a lovely day. God bless you, and I will see you later on in the week for a permaculture class that Christian and I took together. And it was a house. It was permaculture, and it's so amazing, so amazing. So I hope you will stay for that video. That's taking me a little bit longer to edit, but I hope you enjoy that video because I am super excited about all the things that I'm learning right now. Bye bye, see you next time. Hey, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.